Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar on the split rebar commands inside of a premium concrete version of the advanced PowerPack for Autodesk Revit. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Simon Dickinson. I'm the BIM Technical Manager. I'm here at Greatech in the UK. I've been with Greatech now 19 years. An advocate of BIM for probably a bit longer than that, to be honest. I'm an Autodesk certified professional. I'm not a desk certified instructor. I'm also a member of the Autodesk Consulting Implementation Framework. Feel free to drop me an email if you have any questions or suggestions on the PowerPack. We're always looking for new ideas. At the end of the day, it's you guys that drive the functionality and the features that we add inside the PowerPack. And also, please do join me on LinkedIn at sdickinson1. For those of you that are not aware of who we are as Greatech, we've been around a while now. We've been around for 30 plus years. Our head office is just south of Paris. We are currently operating in 11 countries worldwide, and we've got over 48 offices and growing all the time. We are healthy, profitable. As I mentioned, we are growing. You know, we've basically more than doubled the size of the business in the last 4 years, and we're currently one of the largest Autodesk partners in the world. Our DNA, so you know who we actually are. You know, from a company point of view, we're very much technically based, and the majority of our staff are technical, whether we're the programmers over in Romania in our R&D centre, where the software is actually written, but also the majority of the rest of the staff, we're actually consultants. So we're industry consultants that are basically looking after our customers and you guys and making sure that you actually get benefit out of your purchases that you make with Greatech, whether that be with the Autodesk software or whether it is through our PowerPacks and our own products as well. We also have project management teams and product management that actually help to both develop the software, but also to deliver the projects that we do with our customers. And you know, when you think about what we do with customers, you know, we've worked on millions of projects worldwide. Everything from the smallest of construction and manufacturing customers all the way through to the large contractors and beyond. You know, we've got a very good reputation from our support department as well. You know, we've got 98% excellent or good feedback. You know, we do process a lot of support cases every year, you know, well over 50,000. And, you know, when it comes to training and consultancy, you know, just on the training side, you know, we're delivering over 3,500 training courses every year. We split our business up into what we call our 4 pillars. So our create, simulate, fabricate, and manage. And this is where, you know, the various software that we create and the Autodesk software that we sell, this is where that software sits. So obviously today we're looking at our create pillar. So we're looking at the software that creates the data, the designs, you know, whether that is using the Autodesk products in a BIM workflow or whether it's using the Autodesk products from a manufacturing workflow. But then what we do is we enhance that with our software. So with the PowerPacks, there's currently 4 PowerPacks available. We have the PowerPack for Revit, which obviously is part of what we're looking at today. We have the PowerPack for Advanced Steel, the PowerPack for Inventor, and the PowerPack for Vault. From a simulate point of view, we actually have our own simulation software. So we have a product called Advanced Design. So this is where, you know, we can do structural analysis, whether that is for steel, whether it's for reinforcement, concrete, whether it's the steel connections, and this software will talk back. So, you know, a lot of what happens within the premium concrete PowerPack, that has direct links to the analysis software. So we can start to use the analysis software to look at the structure, look at the way the reinforcement needs to be designed, and then use the link back to Revit to actually create that reinforcement. We then have our fabrication tools. We have a product called Advanced Workshop. This allows us to take prefabricated components from a building to the shop floor, and then once it's produced, how we then manage that product out to site delivery and installation. From a managed point of view, we have our own document management system called OpenTree. And some of you will see the OpenTree commands inside of the PowerPack for Revit. This is our document management system, which will allow us to do internal document management system, document management of our projects, but then also use any external CDE. And it will link to any external CDE because of the way that it works. And we can use that then to push our documents out and manage our documents out into the wider world. So in this webinar, we're going to look at the split rebar commands. Okay, this is the part of the PowerPack detailing and PowerPack design. Just be aware, the functionality in here is part of the premium concrete. So the PowerPack for Revit is technically split into 4 levels. So we have the standard tools, which are issued to anyone that buys Revit from us. We then have the professional version, which you get if you buy the professional support for the PowerPack. You get that with that, so that gives you an additional set of tools. On top of that, you can then go for the premium concrete, which is the tools that I'll be showing today. And then we have the one above, which is the ultimate, which gives us the premium concrete tools, but it also gives you the premium steel. This is the advanced PowerPack for advanced steel. Okay, there is also then the option to go for the concrete design extension, and this is the design capabilities from the analysis side of things from advanced design. So to expand on our split rebar commands, the split rebar commands consists of 2 main tools. We have the split rebar, and there's a few ways that we can do that. We can use the split rebar, we can split at lines. I'll show you how these work. And we also have the ability to split rebar where it is intersected by another element. We also have another tool. Although it's integrated into the split rebar command, we have the ability to do cranked bars. So we can do cranked bars as and when we split the rebar, as you can see in the image here. So we can split the rebar, add cranked bars in, and that is one of the functions in there. We also have the ability to create lapping, and also if we're having a connector in there as well on our rebar. So we can control which one we want to do. Okay, when we click on the split rebar command, it will fetch us up the dialog box, and this is where we can specify several aspects of how we want to split it, and it allows us to control the automation in here. So what we've got here is we've got the maximum length of rebar, so you can specify your maximum length. We can then choose how we want to then join it. So do we want lapped bars? Do we want mechanical couplers? Do we want just a simple connection? So this is just basically leave it blank and empty, and we can decide what we're going to do with it later. Or do we want to add this cranked bar in here as well? Then what we can do is we can also decide whether we want to stagger the bars as well. So when we do the lapped bars, how it actually staggers the lap. So basically when it does the split, do we want the split in exactly the same place across all of the bars in that section, or do we want to stagger where that split is? Okay, so the staggered isn't about like the lapped bars side by side. It'll automatically do that, but it's where the split is going to happen. So we can control then what the variation is in the split. So it's a really nice tool. We then have the one where we can split at lines. So what we can do is we can create a model line, and we can basically draw a model line where we want the split to be. So rather than doing it via the dimension, we can then say, well, we want the split there because that's the optimum place to have the split. It's where we should really put in it from a structural point of view. Okay, and then we can do the same sort of things. We can shift the rebars ready for lapping. We can keep hooks on both ends. If we've already set up hooks, if we've got a hook on both ends at the moment, when you split it, we can get to replicate the hooks and the way that works on there as well. We can also keep the dividing line if you want as well. So what's nice about it is you put a model line in there. When you run this tool, it will delete the model line afterwards. As it might be, though, that you might be cutting the top bars to start with and then the bottom bars again later on. So you might want to keep that dividing line just so that you've got that line to split multiple sets of bars. And the final one that we have in there is as far as splitting them goes, is the ability to split at element. Okay, so whether it's a vertical element or horizontal element, this will then allow us to control the splitting of maybe a full length beam that we've reinforced, where we might have a supporting beam underneath. We can then use the sort of supporting column. We might want to use then the column then to actually control that split. And then the tool that sort of sits inside of the split, but also sits standalone as well, which is really useful, because sometimes when we split, with a line, or maybe we do a simple split, we might just split the rebar, but then we might want to put in a cranked bar. This is really clever. If you want to do cranked bars in reinforcement natively in Revit, then we've got to go into sketch mode, and you've got to start to sketch the reinforcement with the crank, or you've got to select the shape code to get that cranking correctly as well. So this is really nice, and you can decide whether you want it to have the crank at the start of that rebar or at the end of the rebar. Okay, so let's without further ado, let's go over into Revit and let's have a look at the split tools that we have in here. Okay, so here we are in Revit. Just to save a bit of time, I've just drawn some few columns, few beams, and some columns. Let's just select the elements that I want. In fact, let's just filter out. I just want the columns, the foundations, and the framing. Okay, and let's select that, and then I'm just going to go to the PowerPack, and I'm going to create some reinforcement here just using our automation tool. This tool will look at the elements. It'll look at any loadings that I've got on here. I've got no loads in this model, and it will look at what the minimum, calculate some minimum reinforcement requirements actually in here. If we have access and this elements had been through to advanced design, then we can start to use the results from there to actually start to calculate, as you can see in here. Okay, so I could actually then hit run calculations, and it'll start to calculate that based on the GTX file coming across from the advanced design analysis. I'm just going to accept the ones that it's put in here. Also, as well as we can create templates. Yeah, so once you've, it might be that you've already reinforced a column even manually using some of the other tools, and then we can start to create a setting from that. Okay, we'll just close that down, and here we are now in here, and we have some reinforcement. Okay, so let's if I just set that to shading, yeah, I'm in this view. It's automatically got the reinforcement viewed. Let's just set that to a fine level of detail. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, now what I can do is I'm just going to go to this level 2 here. So now we've got, let's set this to a fine level of detail so we can actually see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these bars here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at splitting them. So there's a couple of ways to start. I can just go to the split rebar, and it'll now ask me to select the rebar that I want to split. So I can click on there, and this will pull this in. As you can see here, it's saying that the maximum split length is 12 meters. Now, just to save that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change that just to somewhat smaller, just so that we can start to see what's going on down here. So if I set that to 4 meters, there is a minimum size, so it's going to moan at me until I get the value in. Okay, it will then look, and it's working out the length of the bars and where the splits are going to be on here as well. Okay, so we've got the information that I can put in there. What I can also do is we can set the varying bar, the variable bar lengths, so where we can get a minimum length, you know, where that's not quite meeting correctly, and it'll start to give us a little bit of a difference. I've also got then now how we want to join it. So we've got the lapped, got the mechanical couplers, the simple connection of cranked bars. So let's start off just with the lapped bars, okay? And I'm also going to then choose the staggered option to stagger the break. And here you can see now where it's going to adjust the splits for the odd rows and the splits for the even rows. If I take the staggered off, it basically, I know it says the odd rows, but that's going to be every row, okay? So it just gives us the makeup, so we can start to see then how that's going to go. Click OK. Okay, and then what we should find in here now is, yeah, I've got the bottom bars, so there, that's the bottom set of bars that's in here. If I just go hidden line, or shaded, let's go shaded in this view. That's going to show me that anyway. There we go. Yeah, let's just oh, there we go. So if I zoom, let's go wireframe, it's going to help me a bit easier. All right, so there we go. So we can see now where here's the actual bar and the lapped bar. Yeah, so it's actually lapped them across. So that's doing the automatic lapping, and it will have staggered them as well, so you can actually see that they're staggered. We come to this next section here. Let's do the same thing. So this time I'm just going to select the bars and then go to the split rebar tool. Okay, and this time what we'll do is let's go to the mechanical coupler. Okay, coupler, yeah, I can go standard. Okay, and it will choose, I can choose the type of coupler that I want to use. Okay, yeah, so let's go to the standard coupler, and again I'm going to leave it staggered. Yeah, same as before. It's remembered that I set it to 4 meters, and if I now go OK, yeah, what we should have in there now is a coupler. Now what you'll notice is there is no coupler appeared. Now the reason being is it's just something you've just got to be careful about. So let me just do an undo and get that back. And if I just go back to structure, if I just go to my rebar couplers, yeah, if I come into here, look, that is an 8mm bar. I don't actually have an 8mm coupler. So this is the reason why it didn't, it knows the size, but there wasn't available element. So if we just come into here, let's just duplicate that, set it up as an 8, yeah, and then just make sure that that's going to apply to the H8. Okay, I can now come in, we'll select that, do the PowerPack detailing, split, yeah, lap, and we're going to use the mechanical couplings, okay, and we're just going to use a standard one, yeah, and now you notice before in there, I was actually saying a H8, so it knew the size, but there wasn't actually a size, a standard one available. And if I went to say this one, it's saying H8, that doesn't actually exist. It's just making an assumption. So there we go. Now I can click OK, and there we go. Look. And it's quite nicely staggered the placement for me as well. This next one is probably one of my favorites. So again, let's do this again. So I'm going to click on there. Let's go to our PowerPack detailing. Go to my split rebar, And this time I'm going to say I want cranked bars. And again, I'm going to leave it staggered. Okay. So we'll leave that all done. Click OK. Yeah. And if I just now went to the south elevation, let's just make sure we've got this in a fine level of detail. If I now zoom over here, look, as you can see, it has now cranked that bar. Okay, it staggered them, so that's actually another bar. So if I click on that one, look, and we've then got the other top bar in there as well, so you can see where that one comes to. Yeah, we'll just select both of them. So we've actually got this really nicely cranked. Now, obviously, all the reinforcement in here I created using our tool. It's all done using the PowerPack tools. However, if I just came into here, and let's just go to beam, and let me just have a nice floating beam in here. Okay, so here we have standard beam, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go pop a section in here. Okay, and in we pop, and let's just do some reinforcement using the Revit tools. Okay, let's put my hooks on. Let's set the spacing up. Okay. And let's just put some straight bars in as well. Okay, so perpendicular, and I just want this to be a fixed number, 3. Okay, and I can place these bars in. I won't worry about any anti-crack. Just do that. Okay, so these are now done using standard Revit tools. If I now go back to level 2, I'm just going to quickly cheat by putting in here a section. Okay, and this is a nice tool as well. So, in shaded mode, you can actually see that it's actually set up. We've got the bars in there. Now, we go back into here a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go just use a model line. I'm going to specify a model line here. Look, okay. So there's our model line. So now what I can do is the other options we've got under here is we've got the split at lines. So you do this and it says, right, what do I want to split? I want to split this. And there's the line. So we add the line in and then we go finish. And then this will specify now, how do I want to do it? So this is now where it just says keep dividing. I will get rid of that. I'm not going to shift it for lapping. I could get to step. But what this is basically going to do is it's going to basically just split, yeah, the reinforcement. And I could get it to do with hooks, okay? So now what I can do is I'm going to use this tool, which is my cranked bar tool, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to go back into my PowerPack. I can do it both ways. I can select the other way around and then select my cranked bars. Okay, so we can have one at the start, one at the end, and I can click OK. If I now just go back to that section that I created. Okay, so here now, it has now created the crank look. And of course, I've got this as it's a rebar set, so I can then start to adjust where that needs to go. Okay, so there's my cranked bar. Okay, so the cranked bar is really useful, and obviously it works for columns, it works for beams, but it does give us this, it's a really clever tool, and it knows to crank it down. I say we could have it on the other end as well. The final one, just to go through and show you, is let's go to level 2. Yeah, so up here in level 2, if we had let's just pop in a column. Let's just put a column over here. Okay. So again, now if I go back to here, yeah, here we have a column, and obviously we're out to split that at that point. And of course I can then go to detailing, split at element, okay, and then it'll say, right, select the rebar to split. So it's always telling me down here in the options what to do. It's a really intuitive set of tools to use, and it says, right, click the dividing element, and there we go. Okay, once we've done that, we can hit the finish tool, and it gives us this information. Again, we could do a shift rebar, click OK, and then it has used the endpoint there. And of course, then we can use the same tools that we've already used, yeah, to then select, click on that, PowerPack detailing. Let's do the cranked bar, yeah, and I can then crank the bar, and of course we can then start to adjust how the lapping's actually working. We can adjust obviously where that laps. We've got full control, but it's done, as I say, all that lapping and detailing in there for us. So the split tools are really, really clever. I do particularly like, they are so intuitive in the way that they move. Very, very powerful set of tools. Save an awful lot of time, you know, being able to select sort of, you know, the couplers, but get it to, you know, one of the things you've got to remember with the way that Revit works is that's a single rebar set. It's very, very hard to break that set using the Revit tools to then to be able to stagger that information. Our tool automatically changed that into these different sets, okay, and split them down. And of course, here we are in 3D. Another nice little tool, just to, because I really like it. If I want to show the reinforcement in here, I've got to keep coming in and out and doing it. I can just come into my rebar visibility, set it to 3D solid, click OK, and it will generate that, even though this is drawn in Revit. So a lot of our tools, they are not specific to tools within our PowerPack. At the end of the day, what we're creating is we're creating Revit Rebar. We're just automating the process for doing that. So a lot of these tools can be used on your standard reinforcement as well. So, any questions? If you want to pop them down, give you a couple of seconds. I've already got a couple of questions in. So how much of the lap bars is automatically? Most of you do have to be careful with the inputs in the dialog box, but then it will automate that. So when you do lap it now, it creates the it automatically sets the lapping over correctly. Yes, most of the time it will not occupy the same space. The cranked bar definitely never occupies the same space because it will always take the rebar dimensions to do that. But you do watch out just in case. Most of the time it will separate them and they shouldn't clash at all in there. So cool. No, and obviously one of the things that we do at every release is we are improving the functionality in there on every release within the way that these tools work. So thank you for watching. Do follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and obviously on our YouTube channels as well.
Great Tech.